working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello, Mga Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic. As the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. First, doctors gave Vietnam's most critical COVID-19 patient, a British pilot working for Vietnam Airlines, a combination of 3 drugs to eliminate a bacterium identified to have infected his lungs. That and more from our EBC correspondent in Hanoi, Charlene Navaja. Hello, Charlene.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to everyone also. Okay, so the latest here in Vietnam. I'll start off with one more positive COVID-19 case reported on Monday evening, and then 5 recovered. So in Hanoi, a 20-year-old female who returned from France was the latest COVID-19 patient in Vietnam, according to the Health Ministry's report on Monday evening. The Vietnamese patient has brought the country's total coronavirus cases to 326, of which 272 have recovered and no deaths have been reported. On May 24, the patient living in Ward 19, Binh Thanh District, Ho Chi Minh City, flew from France to Tan Son Nhat International Airport on flight VN008. She was immediately sent to the quarantine area at the Division 317 in Hoc Mon District in Ho Chi Minh City. On the same day, the patient had samples taken for testing, and on the next day, her test showed positive for SARS coronavirus 2. Currently, the patient is isolated and treated at the Kochi Field Hospital. And on Monday, 5 more Vietnamese patients with COVID-19 have recovered and were discharged from 2 treatment facilities. So including 1 patient at the Quang Ninh Field Hospital number 2 in northern Quang Ninh province and 4 other at the Bac Lieu General Hospital in the southern Bac Lieu province. At the Bac Lieu General Hospital, all 4 recovered patients are Vietnamese passengers on flight VN88 from Dubai, which landed at the Can Tho International Airport on May 3. The recovered patients include patient 277, female, 22 years old, patient 282, female, 37 years old, patient 285, female, 30 years old, and patient 286, female, 23 years old. So they all passed many tests, and all tests came back negative for SARS coronavirus 2 from May 9 to 20. And then currently all patients have no fever, no cough, no shortness of breath, and are in stable condition. And at the Quang Ninh Field, the hospital number 2, the recovered patient 312, is a 50-year-old woman. So she had 3 tests, and all came back negative for SARS coronavirus 2 on May 19, 21, and the 23rd. And she has now no fever, no cough, no breathing difficulties, and is in stable condition. And then, yeah, but all of these recovered patients will still be kept for close monitoring for 14 days. And then, yeah, meanwhile, the comatose British COVID-19 patient was given a combination of 3 drugs Monday to eliminate a bacterium identified to have infected his lungs. So Dr. Nguyen Chi Tuk, so he's the director of Cho Rai Hospital in Ho Chi Minh City, said patient 91 has acute respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS. So his kidneys have been damaged and his lungs infected with Burkholderia cepacia bacteria, and samples taken from his sputum and bronchial lavage both showed the bacteria. So he has been given a combination of antibiotics, so the ceftazidime N1, Cotrim N12, and meropenem N3 to eliminate the bacteria. So he has been in coma for around 2 months now. So the patient has no fever. He is still on sedatives. The doctors have stopped giving him muscle relaxants. So his blood pressure is stable, but he remains on a ventilator and the ECMO life support machine. So the Dr. Chitok also added that the patient has neither coughed nor show any limb movement. So as of now, he is immunocompromised with reduced blood lymphocytes, which protect the body from infections caused by bacteria, viruses, or fungi. And on Saturday, dialysis treatment was stopped for the patient. So the Vietnam Airlines pilot was the first in the cluster of infection in Saigon associated with Buddha Bar and Grill. And a few days after he was diagnosed, so 18 others were also found infected. So he is currently in Vietnam's the most critical COVID-19 patient. So after 65 days of treatment at the Ho Chi Minh City Hospital for Tropical Diseases, he tested negative for COVID-19 7 consecutive times in 15 days, whereupon he was transferred last Friday to the Chorai Hospital where his treatment continues. So back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Charlene, for all your updates. Thank you, EBC Vietnam Bureau.
Thank you so much, Alma. Good afternoon again. So this has been Charlene Navaja reporting live from Hanoi, Vietnam. We live in interesting times.
With limited flights and even new normal in place, the beautiful island of Phuket is looking at the year 2021 for recovery. We have more from Mary Grace Alvarez. Hello, Mary Grace.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all our viewers.
Good afternoon, Mary Grace. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. And now, bringing you the latest updates on the island. In a solemn recognition of the reality of Phuket's cold tourist industry, according to spokesperson for the Southern chapter of the Thai Hotels Association, that most of the West Coast hotels are unlikely to reopen until the last quarter of this year. For now, Phuket's International Airport remains closed to scheduled flights, and the Tat Chai Road checkpoint at the top of the island is heavily deteriorating who comes in and out with plenty of red tape and paperwork. The Civil Aviation Authority of Thailand still has a ban in place for all international flights until at least the end of June, and it could be extended further. The only exceptions are repatriation flights of Thais returning home and the return of international diplomats. Phuket's issue as an economy that revolves almost completely around tourism is that even if it shows open the immigration gates at the airport and the doors of its almost 100,000 hotel and accommodation rooms, there are few markets that could provide incoming tourists at this stage. According to the source, it will come from Europe, including the UK. The US and now South America are mired in their own pandemic outbreaks, and while it's trying to reopen their economies, are facing imminent second waves of COVID-19. However, Alma, other parts of Thailand have opportunities to reopen their businesses, like manufacture, agriculture, IT, and large chunks of population visits and general trading. But Phuket has little of that. Some 50,000 plus of the island's 450,000 permanent population have already departed the island, either before the borders were closed in mid-March or as soon as they were able to return to their provinces when the border reopened for repatriating people at the start of May. And here is some good news, Alma. Thai food conglomerate Choryon Pokhan Food Chain, it plans to offer heavily discounted ready-to-eat meals for those facing financial difficulties as a result of the economic fallout of COVID-19. CEO Prasit Bundong Saset says 1 million meals will be distributed to Fresh Mart shops around the country, and it will cost just only 20 baht. There will be a choice of dishes on offer, and customers who purchase 5 meals at a time using the True Wallet app will get an additional 5 baht discount. 6 ready-to-eat meals will be offered under the campaign, And according to Nation Thailand, that ETF is also delivering free food to impoverished homes in Bangkok on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and distributing vouchers to village healthcare volunteers around the country so they can purchase items at discounted prices at Fresh Mart branches nationwide. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Mary Grace. Stay safe and stay healthy over there in Phuket. Thank you for your updates.
Thank you very much, Alma. Reporting live from Phuket, Thailand, this is Mary Grace Alvarez, and we live in interesting times.
Okay, now to Bangkok. Thailand is to implement on-hand distance learning protocol should COVID-19 pandemic continue to pose a risk in the country. That and more. Joining us live from Bangkok is Gila Pablo. Hello, Gila.
Yes, hello, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to all the viewers. So here's the latest update here in Bangkok, Thailand. The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, or BMA, is touting its on-hand distance learning protocol as a backup should the COVID-19 pandemic continue to pose a risk after its 437 schools reopened on July 1. Alma, the on-hand policy is a joined-up set of distance learners that will allow all schools to continue teaching their students remotely should further closures be necessary if clusters of infections occur. That's according to the director of the BMA's Education Department. Also, the BMA has used the findings of the survey to guide its preparations for reopening schools on July 1 and comes after problems were reported last week with the remote learning via TV broadcast. He said the BMA had asked 50% of the teachers in its 437 schools to trial on the on-hand methods with students since early May. Under the measures, lessons will be taught either using online tools, via the government's distance learning television broadcast, or in smaller, socially distanced on-site classes. According to a poll of 1,256 respondents by the National Institute of Development Administration, or NIDA, that's during May 18 to 21, only a slight majority of people are in favor of online learning being introduced by the Ministry of Education. Asked about the online learning being provided for kindergarten, primary, and secondary students, 52% agreed, wherein there are 30% Alma who only said that it's only good for those students who are on the higher level. And on the other side, 47% said it was no good for any level at all. And the remaining 1% had no comment or were not even interested. Meanwhile, the CCSA today reported 3 new coronavirus cases who are 3 Thais arriving from another country, bringing the total in Thailand to 3,045. And there are no additional deaths were reported, leaving the accumulated toll at 57. And another 1 recovered, bringing the total number of discharged patients to 2,929. And there are still 59 patients remain in the hospital. Alma?
All right. So in Thailand, as we know, tourism is such an important part of the country, especially for your country. How does the government of Thailand plan to revive the tourism industry?
Yes, Alma, Thailand is planning to boost the domestic tourism in the third quarter. That is to help and support the struggling economy as the coronavirus pandemic hits the global travel and, of course, the domestic consumption, the state planning agency said last Monday. They also added that the export or the tourism-driven economy may shrink from 5% to 6% this year, and that is the worst since the 1997 to 1998 Asian financial crisis, and that is due to the outbreak. The plans to boost the domestic tourism will be financed by some of the 1 trillion baht that the government will borrow, that is to reduce the impact of the pandemic on jobs. And it may also include subsidies on rooms and other benefits. That's only for example. And although these may have not been finalized, that is from the Secretary General of the National Economic and Social Development Council. He also added that the government expects to roll out a package for domestic travel from July. Last year, the spending by foreign tourists accounted for 11.4% of GDP, while the domestic tourism made up 6%. Alma?
All right. Thank you very much for your update. Thank you, Gila. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you, Alma. Once again, this is Sheila Pablo reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. We live in interesting times.
Still in Thailand, Pattaya City is going to build a 9-kilometer monorail to ease the traffic congestion. Esther Odanga joins us live from Pattaya. Hello, Esther.
Hello, good afternoon, Alma, and
Good
to all our
afternoon.
viewers all around the world. So here's the latest update in Pattaya, Thailand. According to Bangkok Post, the Pattaya City Administration plans to build a 9-kilometer monorail to ease traffic congestion and connect the city with the government's flagship Eastern Economic Corridor, or EEC, project. Pattaya Deputy Mayor Manot Nongyai said Pattaya has a wealth of potential for economic development, and it has been plagued with traffic problems caused by rapid urban growth and lack of efficient public transport system, particularly in the downtown area, which is a key commercial and economic center. Pattaya needs to develop a public transport system to facilitate travel across the city, adding that a highly efficient system will be in high demand after the COVID-19 crisis eases, which will see an influx of tourists return to the city. Mr. Manot said, for the future development of Pattaya, it is necessary to reduce the use of private cars while moving towards public transport in form of an electric rail system to distribute wealth, promote tourism, and help the industrial sector. He said the Pattaya City Administration has allocated a budget of 70 million baht for a feasibility study project, adding the rail project in Pattaya will be designed to link with the government infrastructure development in the EEC, which spans 3 eastern provinces of Chachoengsao, Chonburi, and Rayong. Mr. Pongtawi, the manager of the feasibility study project, said the 9-kilometer monorail would run from Pattaya Railway Station via a motorway, Northern Pattaya Road, Pattaya Side 2 Road, Tapraya intersection to Bali High Pier, which is the main route for the commuters in Pattaya. He added there would be no need to expropriate much land along this route for the construction, which in turn means there would be a little impact on local residents. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much. There you go. I thought I lost you.
Okay.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, Alma. Reporting live from Pattaya, Thailand. This is Esther Odana. We live in interesting times.
All right. The 13th AsiaEurope Summit, or ASEM 13, will be held in Cambodia as scheduled. Kristen Ann Ballesteros gives us the update. Hello, Crystal Ann.
Hi, Alma. Good
Hi.
afternoon, and to all our online viewers around the world. For Cambodia news today, 13th Asia-Europe Summit, or ASEM 13, will be held in Cambodia as scheduled, said Louis David, Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, head of ASEM 13 National Secretariat. He said that up to now, the National Committee for Organizing ASEM 13, as well as the committee secretary to the preparation, has already set and approved the leaders of the 53 Asia-Europe nations. In addition, the invitation letter signed by the head of the royal government of Cambodia have been through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and some leaders have already confirmed attendance. On Thursday, the National Committee for Organizing the ASEM 13 will going to hold a meeting to discuss continued preparations for the appointee of Prak Sokhonn, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, and Chairman of the Organizing Committee. The ASEM 13 will take place on November 16 to 17, 2020, under the theme Strengthening Multilateralism for Shared Growth. Cambodia's proposed theme reflects the kingdom's efforts to promote ASEM as one of the cornerstones of global governance. Its thematic concept focuses on the interaction multilateralism, growth, sustainable development, and prosperity, reflecting the key principle that the prosperity of both continents is the ultimate objective of the ASEAN process. The summit will reinforce Asia-Europe partnership to ensure that multilateralism can bring about global growth that is not only sustainable but can also 7 side events will take place. 13th Asia-Europe People Forum, 11th Asia-Europe Parliamentary Partnership Meeting, ASEAN Cultural Festival 2020, 12th Asia-Europe Label Forum, 17th Asia-Europe Business Forum, 10th ASEF Editors Roundtable, and 4th ASEF Young Leaders Summit. Back to you, Alma.
All right. And of course, every country is now, almost all countries are reopening their economies. Can you tell us what the government is doing to help the country get back on their feet, businesses and small businesses and all that? Can you hear me? I think there was...
Yeah, I can hear you,
Okay,
Alma.
okay.
Well, regarding our Minister Man Gunheng, yesterday that from now on, Cambodia will be enforcing a strict mandatory 14-day quarantine for all passengers flying into the kingdom. He made the announcement early yesterday morning while monitoring prevention measures at the Phnom Penh International Airport as 2 flights from South Korea landed. According to the official statement issued by the State Secretariat of Civil Aviation Cambodia, came into effect 20th May. The statement confirms that Cambodia has lifted the ban on foreign nationals from Iran, Italy, Germany, Spain, France, and the US. But measures continue to apply for travelers arriving in the country, including the requirement for on-site swab tests. Both Cambodian and foreign national must present a medical certificate indicating their COVID-19 negative status issued by the health authorities of their residing country no more than 72 hours prior to the date of travel. Foreign nationals must also provide proof of an insurance policy with a minimum medical coverage of not less than $50,000 US, valid for the intended duration of stay in Cambodia. On arrival at the airport, all travelers will do swab tests for COVID-19 and be asked to wait at the airport for the laboratory results. If travelers test COVID-19 positive, they will be quarantined along with accompanying negative tested passengers at a location designated by the authorities. If they have tested positive at the airport and show other classic symptoms of COVID-19, they will be hospitalized immediately. In the event that all travelers on the flight test negative, they will be allowed to self-isolate for 14 days at their respective homes or registered hotels under the supervision of the local authorities and health officials. Alma?
All right. Thank you very much, Crystal Ann, for your updates. Thank you, EBC Cambodia Bureau. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you, Alma. Reporting live here in Cambodia, I am Crystal Ann Ballesteros, and we live in interesting times.
In New Zealand now, the government established a hardship grant fund for international students affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Joining us live from New Zealand is Greg Bessa. Hello, Greg.
Hello, Alma.
Good to
Can
see
you hear
you
me?
back. Yes, I can hear you. Good to see you back. Good afternoon from Manila.
Good evening from New Zealand to you and to all our televiewers across the globe. Just a quick update here in New Zealand. For the 4th consecutive days, New Zealand has registered 0 cases. And in the past 2 weeks, it has only 3 cases. Out from total number of 1,504 confirmed and probable cases, 1,461 have recovered, which is equivalent to 97% recovery rate. So far, there are only 22 active cases, and the number of casualties is still at 21. While there's no doubt that New Zealand is winning its fight against COVID-19, it is now intensifying its efforts to reviving the economy, saving businesses from bankruptcies, and protecting thousands of workers from losing their jobs. On the other hand, the government has established a hardship grant fund amounting to 1 million New Zealand dollars for international students in New Zealand who are struggling and are needing urgent assistance due to temporary hardship caused by COVID-19 crisis in the country. In order to avail this grant, fee-paying international students must be enrolled as at 23 of March 2020 and are in genuine temporary hardship and not eligible for other government support. It should be noted that international students are unable to apply individually to access the grant. They are only eligible to apply through organizations as recognized and accredited by the government. The maximum amount per student is 1,000 New Zealand dollars and may be used as direct cash grants to purchase resources such as food parcels, medicines, and cleaning materials. This grant cannot be used to pay for flights back home, tuition fees, salaries, or staff administration costs, or supporting non-international students. For more information on how to apply this hardship grant, interested parties or international students may visit the website of Education New Zealand, a government entity which is tasked to recruit international students to come to and study in New Zealand through its recognized and accredited providers. This hardship grant fund is a proof that the government is recognizing the international students as valued members of the New Zealand economy and community. It is important to mention that international education in New Zealand is the fourth largest export earners, valued at 5 billion New Zealand dollars, and those a very important contribution to the country's national and regional economies. Back to you, Alma.
All right, thank you very much. Just before I let you go, what alert level are you in right now?
At present, we are at alert level 2.
Okay.
So by 8th of June, the government will review whether we have to stay at alert level 2 or go lower than alert level 1. Mm-hmm. And from between 8th of June to 22nd of June, then they will come up with a decision whether we have to go to alert level 1. Mm-hmm. But good news in our part, religious gatherings are now allowed to have at most 100 people.
100 people?
In one event.
Okay.
Yes,
but
100 people.
You would
provided that we have still to follow the physical distancing guidelines set forth by the government.
Mm-hmm. And you recently had an earthquake. How is
yeah, we had an earthquake.
How
Actually,
are you and how is
today
everybody?
And I think yesterday.
Mm-hmm. So
twice in a row already.
No damage reported?
No damage yet.
Okay. That's good. That's good to hear. All right. Thank you so much, Greg, for your updates. Thank you. EBC New Zealand Bureau.
Yeah, this is Greg Bessa reporting live from Wellington City, New Zealand. We live in interesting times.
ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
Iba't iba man ang pinanggalingan, iisa lang ang pinangahawakan. Ang pangarap na makilala sa kanilang larangan. Mas titindi pa ang performances ng ating mga TNG aspirants dito lang sa pinakabago at pinakamalaking talent competition ng Philippine Television. Ito ang...
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. VetaPro NutriChops, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa NutriChops. Magnolia Chicken Templados. Delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat. Pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda. Kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Hubert, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee. Masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Color for protection for your home. Matimco. Matimco is wood. Wood is Matimco. RS Square Variables Incorporated. Your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. CompuZell Computer Services. ID card and lanyard manufacturer. Saisho International Trading Corporation. DN Steel. EMAC UPB Roof Corporation.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, San-Made Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! San-Made Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Skyway Stages 1 and 2, the elevated toll road system project, run from a section of the South Luzon Expressway from Alabang to Magallanes, Makati. The Skyway Stage 3 is an elevated expressway connecting the South Luzon Expressway through the existing Skyway Stages 1 and 2 to the North Luzon Expressway via Balintawak. Skyway Stage 4 is an 80-kilometer mixed elevated and at-grade toll road that will connect the existing Skyway system starting from the FTI section all the way to Bulacan.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ibang klase ang sarap ng corned beef mo. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Kaya perfect ang sarap. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
In Malaysia, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has tested negative for COVID-19, but he will still have to undergo a self-quarantine for 14 days. Now, in a matter of 3 days, 3 separate clusters of COVID-19 cases also have been detected at 3 immigration detention centers. All these plus more from our EBC correspondent, Ruby Tinawin. Hello, Ruby.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to see you back.
Thank you. Good to see you too. For the latest news here in Malaysia, yes, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has tested negative for COVID-19 but needs to undergo a 14-day home quarantine after an officer who attended a post-cabinet meeting chaired by the Prime Minister on Wednesday was diagnosed with COVID-19. The Prime Minister's office, in a statement last week, said all administration members of the PMO had been ordered to undergo screening and home quarantine for 14 days beginning Friday. Muhyiddin went for COVID-19 screening and test came back negative, However, according to the Supervision and Observation Order for COVID-19 Contact, Section 15, Act 342, the Prime Minister has to be in self-quarantine at home for 14 days. The meeting was attended by top officials representing agencies under the Prime Minister's department, which include Chief Secretary to the government, Datuk Seri Muhammad Zuki Ali, who had undergone a swab test too, and his result came back negative for COVID-19. Also, Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Chief Commissioner, Datuk Seri Aman Baki, confirmed that he was among those who attended the meeting and is still waiting for his swab test result. The statement said all meetings held at the PMO observed strict social distancing and healthcare regulations at all times. Meanwhile, in a matter of 3 days, 3 separate clusters of COVID-19 cases have been detected at the 3 immigration detention centers in the country, at Bukit Jalil, Semani, and Sepang, all located in the states of Selangor. The government recently detained thousands of undocumented migrants from the areas which had been placed under the enhanced MCO, with the immigration authorities detaining the immigrants just before the order was lifted. Now, as of 172 new COVID-19 cases reported as of yesterday, 5 were imported cases, while 167 were local transmissions. And of the local transmissions, 159 were detected among foreigners, in which 112 were detected from the 3 immigration detention centers. In total, the Bukit Jalil Detention Center has recorded the highest cases so far, with 126 detainees tested positive, while the Semani Center has 66 cases. The latest cluster was at the KLIA depot in Sepang with 36 patients. Most of these patients were undocumented migrants, and they are comprised nationals of Bangladesh, India, Indonesia, Myanmar, Pakistan, China, Cambodia, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and 1 each from the Philippines, Libya, Egypt, and Syria. For now, the intake of the immigration detainee at the 3 centers has been suspended. However, Immigration Director General Khairul Dasaimi Daud said the depot would remain operational, but new officers would take charge while the depot staff go into quarantine. The Health Ministry is still investigating the source of the COVID-19 infection for the 3 clusters. Now, in other news, Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob has announced at his daily media briefing last week that all those who plan to enter Malaysia will have to bear the cost of mandatory quarantine and to sign a letter agreeing to pay before they can make the trip to the country. He said that with the latest policy, Malaysians will pay half the cost of quarantine services, while non-citizens, including spouses and family members of citizens, will bear the full cost. He added that this will take effect from June 1st, as Malaysia will continue to impose compulsory quarantine on those who return from abroad to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Datuk Seri Ismail said the National Security Council had decided that Malaysian citizens would pay 50% of the full charges of 150 per day. Non-citizens, including spouses and dependents of Malaysian citizens, will have to pay the full amount. He also said the council had also decided that those who wanted to come to Malaysia would have to sign a letter of undertaking that states their agreement to bear the quarantine cost. He added the signing of the letter can be done at Malaysian embassies and high commissions. After the agreement is signed, the office will issue a letter permitting them to return to Malaysia. Now, he said the Immigration Department would play its part to ensure that returnees are aware of the new condition set by the government. They will also be issuing a directive to all airline companies to make it a condition for passengers disembarking in Malaysia to have this letter of undertaking with them. Now, on the return of participants of the Malaysian My Second Home program, Mr. Ismail said they would have to apply to come back to Malaysia. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Ruby. Good to see you back. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you, EBC Malaysia Bureau.
Yes, thank you. Reporting live here in Malaysia. This is Ruby Tanawin. We live in interesting times.
Now, 2 months after it was imposed, curfew in Colombo will be finally lifted. Let's get the details from, joining us live from Sri Lanka is Vanessa Viloria Silva. Hello, Vanessa.
Hi, good afternoon, Alma.
Good afternoon.
Hi, nice to see you.
Good to see you. What are your updates
Alma.
from
So here's
Sri
the
Lanka?
latest news update. Yes, Alma. Curfew in Colombo to be lifted after 2 months. Island-wide curfew from 10 p.m. to 4 in the morning. Sri Lanka will remove the curfew imposed in capital Colombo starting from today, May 26, after a 2-month-long lockdown-style curfew. The island-wide curfew will be imposed from 10 in the evening to 4 in the morning, commencing from today, PMD said in a statement. Strict health restrictions will continue in all districts, including Colombo and Gampaha, when curfew is lifted from today, PMD added. And for more update, 18 more COVID-19 cases confirmed in Sri Lanka. 18 more persons have been diagnosed as coronavirus-infected patients, increasing the tally of confirmed cases in Sri Lanka to 1,182. The Ministry of Health said that all new positive cases are returnees from Kuwait. 41 new cases of COVID-19 have been infected so far within the day. 41 new cases of COVID-19 have been identified so far within the day. A total of 477 patients who have tested positive for the virus are currently under medical care, while the number of recoveries in the country stands at 695. The 10th death due to the virus was reported in Sri Lanka today after a 52-year-old woman who had returned from Kuwait and had been undergoing quarantine at a center succumbed to the virus yesterday evening. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you, Vanessa, for your updates.
Thank you so much, Alma. Reporting from Sri Lanka, this is Vanessa Viloria Silva, and we live in interesting times.
Protests in Bangladesh, as many of the garment workers were not paid, and they said they have nothing to spend for their celebration of Eid. Arabel Pasqua joins us live from Bangladesh. Hello, Arabel.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon from Manila.
Good afternoon. Okay, here are the latest updates in Bangladesh. Bangladesh clothing factories failed to pay workers before Eid. Many ready-made garment workers in Bangladesh spent their final Ramadan days protesting for salaries and allowances amid the coronavirus crisis, but will have no money to spend for their families during Eid al-Fitr. Garment and knitwear exporters lobbying groups Bijamea and Bikimea say 478 of their members had to shut business in the past 2 months, with orders worth billions of dollars cancelled and payment denied by some Western retailers. The first case of coronavirus infection was reported on March 8th, but the garment business began going downhill in February after the worldwide outbreak. Purchase orders for $3.48 billion have been canceled. Many exporters said that the retailers did not make payments, though orders were delivered, and it had an impact on the payment of the workers. Most of the factories that remained operational cleared workers' wages for the month of April with bailout funds from government, but also hundreds of factories are not eligible to apply for the government stimulus package, resulting of leaving their workers unpaid. Meanwhile, Bangladesh is among the top 25 countries with highest number of cases. According to the data published by Johns Hopkins University, Bangladesh held the 24th spot in the global list of countries suffering under the deadly virus. Bangladesh reported 21 deaths in the past 24 hours, taking the total to 501. After the first fatality was reported on March 18. Also, another 1,975 people were tested positive for COVID-19, pushing up the total number of confirmed cases to 35,585. with a recovery case of 7,334. With the latest data, Bangladesh now ranks third in terms of the number of people infected by COVID-19 among its South Asia neighbors, followed by India and Pakistan, respectively. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Arabelle, for your updates and report. Thank you, EBC Bangladesh Bureau. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you, Alma. Reporting live from Bangladesh, I am Arabelle Pasqua. We live in interesting times.
And the Singapore recession forecast for 2020 worsens to between 4 and 7%. We have that update from John Lord Cruz. Hello, John Lord. How are you?
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. What are your updates from Singapore?
Okay, here's the updates from Singapore. Singapore's economy, also a bellwether for global trade, could shrink by as much as 7% this year as the coronavirus pandemic throttles demand. The Singapore economy is staring at a much deeper recession than earlier forecasts. The Ministry of Trade and Industry attributed the downgrade to both a weaker external demand outlook for Singapore and the likely impact of 2 month so-called circuit breaker to curb the spread of the virus. Like many other countries, Singapore has ordered the closure of most businesses, advised people to stay at home, and banned large gatherings. Officials say they may start relaxing the rules from early June, but many restrictions will remain. Lockdowns to contain the virus in major markets such as United States, Europe, and China have crippled demand for exports, and a halt in international air travel has hammered Singapore's key tourism sector. Alma?
Okay, so can you take us through the phases where Singapore is right now? Singapore is opening up its economy as well, but can you take me through the phases on how they plan to revive the economy?
Okay, Alma. To avoid the risk of resurgence, or the second wave as we call it, Singapore must be cautious as circuit breaker measures progressively lift over the three phases. Safe reopening is the first of these phases, a gradual reopening of some activities. It will be implemented from June 2, 2020. Economic activities that do not pose a high risk of transmission will resume, but social, economic, and entertainment activities that carry higher risk will stay closed. Everyone should continue to leave home only for essential activities and should wear a mask when doing so. As seniors are a particularly vulnerable group, they should continue to stay at home as much as possible. As more of us return work and school, we must ensure that we conduct these activities safely to minimize the risk of community transmission. Safe reopening covers 4 areas: safe work, safe home and community, safe school, safe care, and safe care. Besides essential businesses that are already operating, more Singaporeans will gradually be allowed to return to work. This starts with businesses that operate in settings with lower transmission risks, including most manufacturing and production facilities like semiconductors and medical technology, and most businesses with employees working in offices and settings that do not require interactions with large groups of people like finance and insurance and IT and info services. Telecommuting must be adopted to the maximum extent in businesses that reopen. This means those who have been working from home so far should keep doing so, and employees should go to the office only where demonstrably necessary. Most retail outlets, other personal services will not reopen in phase 1. Dining in F&B outlets will continue to be disallowed. Only selected services, namely motor vehicle servicing, aircon servicing, basic pet grooming services, school bookshops, and retail shops selling school uniforms will be allowed to resume. Hairdressers and barbers will also be allowed to resume offering all hairdressing services beyond basic haircut services. All home-based businesses that operate using a delivery collection model will also be allowed to resume. Places of worship can reopen of private worship, example with up to 5 members of the same household praying together at any one time. Marriage solemnizations conversations involving up to 10 persons will be allowed to take place in person again. When it comes to house visits, each household will be allowed to visit their parents or grandparents staying elsewhere to allow families to spend time and provide support to one another. However, every household should limit such visits to only one per day and to not more than 2 persons from visiting household. Dropping off children at parents' and grandparents' homes for childcare will also be allowed, subject to the same limit of 2 visitors from the same visiting household per day. For preschools and early intervention centers, preschools will gradually reopen by levels from June 2, with full resumption by June 10, so that young children can be cared for safely while their parents return to work. K1 and K2 children will return to school from June 2, N1 and N2 children may return from June 8, infant care and playgroup children may return from June 10. For primary and secondary schools, students from graduating cohorts will attend school daily while other cohorts will rotate weekly, alternating between home-based learning and returning to school for lessons. This is shown in the illustrative weekly schedule. For special education or SPED schools, students' return will be staggered from June 2. All will be back in school by June 8. All staff and students will need to wear masks or face shields when in school or on campus. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much for that explanation. And you went through the phases of the reopening of the economy of Singapore. Thank you so much, John Lord. Thank you. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you so much, Alma. Stay safe also. This is John Lord Cruz reporting live from Singapore. We live in interesting times.
ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back. Okay, Thailand is conducting tests on macaque monkeys as it races to produce a cheaper alternative coronavirus vaccine it hopes will be ready by 2021. More than 100 candidate vaccines are currently in various stages of development around the world, and at least 8 of which are in clinical trials with humans, according to the World Health Organization. Let's take a look.
If we get the result within 2 months, and then we produce it for human trial, running together. So at the same time, monkey is running on this way, and then we start to try it in humans. So I think 12 to 18 months it can be happen.
All right, President Duterte believes the opening of classes should be pushed back until a vaccine that could protect persons against coronavirus disease would be developed. In a public address late Monday night, President Duterte said it was useless to talk about the opening of classes, particularly holding it face-to-face, without a vaccine because it would endanger the lives of students. Take a look.
unless I am sure that they are really safe, it's useless to be talking about opening of classes. That's for my para sa akin, bakuna muna. Pag nandiyan ang bakuna, okay na. At saka, if you are not allowed to go out, especially yung bata, pero malapit na. I think by the grace of God, we will have the vaccine before the end of the year. So mag-asa na lang tayo sa mga marunong at saka mayaman na mga bayan. They are feverishly working on it. Pag nandiyan na yan, ako na ang magsabi labas na. Pag hindi ka lumabas, hilain kita sa labas, dito ka. Sige, pasyal na kayo. Kaya may bakuna na yan. Bakuna muna tayo, tapos bahala na. But without the vaccine, it's really danger.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations and beyond. Thank you for joining us here in ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.
Ida came back from her trip in Wuhan, China. She is a positive carrier of the coronavirus.
Hi, I'm Lorna.
Lorna is Ida's cousin. She can be a family member, a friend, a relative, a colleague, or anything related to Ida.
Oh, hi, I'm Faye.
Faye is not related to Ida. They don't know each other. She can be a stranger Ida meets on the train, in the supermarket, movie house, or in any public place. Now, Ida is in the hospital and is being treated, and Lorna is placed in quarantine. Ida doesn't know Faye. Lorna doesn't know Faye. And Faye doesn't even know anything.
Hi, I'm Innocencio.
Innocencio has no contact with any virus.